Can you believe it, Lewis? It's Doctor Who time again?
Oh my god, every Sunday?
Welcome back to this discussion with myself, JackWolf, and...
The Oncoming Brainstorm.
Where
We're back for more Doctor Who. And yeah, so I'm a bit more excited for this episode. I want to see more Jodie in action, more of the companions. And it looks very good from the next time trailer, like the desert and stuff.
I am eager to see whether or not this episode will kind of bring the series, if it's going to go up from here. Because
Yes.
there was a lot of promising stuff, or there were certain promising things in the first episode, and if they come to fruition here, such as the title sequence, is that even the right word, fruition? I'm going to be happy.
Hyped, exciting times. And there's also an actor called Shane Dooley, who was in Misfits. I'm very excited to see him.
Ah.
So, yeah, we'll meet on the flip side after the episode.
Hell yeah. So, Lewis, what did you think of Smile?
Smile. Well, I love Smile, the Ghost Monument. It's alright. It's pretty good. I liked it.
Yeah. So, story, first of all. For me, I feel like the story had some strengths and some weaknesses to it. If I've got to give it credit, it's continually got you asking questions.
Yeah, I think Chibnall's big, like his strength, what we've seen from both these episodes, is that he's really good with dialogue, I think, for the most part.
Yeah.
Sometimes he does do things a bit too on the nose, like with the whole, brains over bullets thing. I mean, you can show that rather than tell it, but I think he's really good at making you care about the companions and the Doctor. Even these two guest stars I quite liked. That's one thing I quite like about the story, is that, the villains are fairly weak, but
Yeah.
I thought the actual, there is a great adventure aspect to it, where, they're running around the desert and you see loads of bits of the planet. I really enjoyed that part, and I like the idea of this race. It could have been done a bit more interestingly, but I like the idea that there's a competition to, get to the Ghost Monument. That was quite fun.
I do think the adventure aspect of it is good. And I think the only if we move on, if we're going to talk about the villain, I think technically this piece doesn't really have a villain, or at least it's more sort of setting up a bigger villain, I feel.
Yeah, I think I sort of understood what's happening at the end with the weird bandage dude, but I guess the main villain is the guy in the tent, which I don't remember because he's kind of the catalyst to the events. But even then, he's not purely antagonistic.
But it's that
the bandage thing.
It's whatever these peculiar looking bandage things were. They were related to, I think, the tentacle thing from the first episode. They said
the Stenzai.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that means there's clearly some kind of well, at least
a bit of a story arc.
It feels like they're setting up something which is intriguing. I mean, this episode is basically one massive build-up to the reveal of the TARDIS.
Yeah, I quite liked it. I didn't mind that, because I quite enjoyed the adventure, even though it is a little. You could argue it's a bit bland and a bit generic, but I thought there were moments of fun with the characters. It's very much a character piece, and I felt like that with the first one as well.
That is true. I do think it's a character piece, this one. And, I mean, for Doctor Who fans who are incredibly curious about seeing what's happened to the show, where it's been taken, such as the title sequence, which we'll get onto, just being able to see the TARDIS, where is it, what's going on, I think it was enough of a drive to keep me watching for the entire episode. And on top of that, I did think the episode was alright, especially story-wise.
I think it was a clever way to get you to keep watching, because usually with every series, it's a bit of a habit that, the Doctor gets the TARDIS back within the first episode, then we're set off to, end of the episode, we're in the TARDIS, bam, next adventure is going to be kind of random and whatever. But this one was like, we're in the first episode without the TARDIS, and there was the idea of, crap, these characters might not make it out alive. Obviously, we know they're going to make it out alive, but it is that sense of, adventure. They haven't got the TARDIS, so it feels more, threatening and, what's going to happen? How are they going to find the TARDIS?
That's true, and there's that point of the universal translators, which obviously it made me realise. Oh yeah, the TARDIS does act as the translator, but since they don't have them, they then got these implants. Yeah,
which look very similar to the bomb design
from the first episode.
Week.
Yeah. So, what did you think of Jodie this episode?
I liked her a lot more. She's grew on me. There are still some lines that feel a bit stilted and very actory. She could come off a bit more natural, and sometimes I find her a little bit patronising the way she talks.
Yeah.
But overall, I've actually enjoyed her a lot more, and I like the way she looked when she was running with the coat. She was quite warm, and she felt a lot more level-headed than last week.
Yeah.
Taking charge. I really enjoyed that. So yeah, she's starting to grow on me. What about you?
Yeah. I definitely appreciated the moments where she would kind of slow down a bit, she'd be more serious or authoritarian, if that's even the right word. And I was like, yeah, this is working for me. The bits I do have problems with are the more kind of comedic, chatty bits.
Yeah.
That come across as less kind of endearing and just a little bit step towards, oh, look at me, I'm quirky feel, which I'm not too keen on.
Yeah, it's telling you she's quirky rather than letting her just be quirky. Like Tennant and Matt Smith, for the most part, had a pretty good job at just being kind of silly or goofy, but more of a wink to the audience rather than, hey, look at me. I think also Chibnall's a bit weird with transitions, like, and pacing. The pacing was a bit off,
yeah,
I'll be honest.
I definitely thought that.
Like, it opened up really exciting, and then it went really slow. And then you get excited again, then it goes slow again. And I don't like that. I like something to be a bit more gradual.
And one of the scenes where I think pacing was... It didn't seem to come out right. It's the scene where they're being shot at.
Yeah.
And Jodie's saying, like, you know, you picked up the gun, there's something on the floor, it's a robot. And then she sends out this electromagnetic wave that stuns everyone. But it didn't feel like there was enough of a build-up to that. Like, I was expecting a thing where they'd kind of be like, oh, what's going on? And then she's kind of like, I need to think of something. And she picks it up and she's kind of like, wait, hold on. And she starts talking and people are like, Doctor! And then she's like, this! And it goes just...
Yeah.
And it builds up and then there's the... And then it happens. Whereas this, it was just kind of like, oh, I'll pick up a robot and here I'll do this and that. And it felt a bit... It's
too quick.
Yeah.
Too easy
They needed more emphasis to build up to that moment because that, I think, would draw more attention to what Jodie's doing and make her seem... like cooler. And regarding the Call of Duty scene, whilst it was, I thought it was funny, but it felt so out of place.
It did, yeah.
Especially because Ryan's character has been playing it so straight. For him to start running off screaming, which is funny, going like that. That's funny, but it felt so wrong for him.
I quite liked it. I guess it's like a boys' moment where he's getting a gun and like maybe his. You know, he got a bit of excitement, but I can see what it means. It does seem like feel a bit out of nowhere.
Yeah,
I did really enjoy Bradley Walsh. I'll say that he was really good this episode. Probably my favourite actually episode.
I'm still really liking Bradley Walsh. If we're talking in terms of the companions, I think I like probably Bradley Walsh. Then I don't remember what she's called.
Yasmin.
Yaz. Oh, that's bad. To say I like her more than because I found this episode. Ryan. It's called Ryan, right?
Ryan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Toes and Cole.
I found Ryan this episode, especially the acting, it felt a little more stiff.
Yeah.
Like, some of his line delivery felt a bit more kind of like it wasn't bad, but it felt like it was being delivered.
Bit more staged, yeah. It didn't feel as natural.
I thought Bradley Walsh was alright, and Yasmin I like, but she still probably needs a bit more screen time.
I think we need an episode just for her, and like hopefully with each episode, with an episode with this series, hopefully each companion gets a chance to shine. Because now Jodie's kind of had a chance. Maybe we can get a bit more of Yasmin for definite. She needs more development because she feels the least fleshed out, even though the actress is very likeable.
Yeah,
Mandeep Gill. So, but if we want to go into the title sequence, oh my god.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
So yeah, title sequence. This is the big thing that we'd been. I mean, I was waiting for it all last episode, and now, of course, we finally got it. And yeah, they did an amazing job.
I thought it was beautiful. It's come a long way compared to the cartoony kind of Capaldi one with the spinny clock design, which I'm not a fan of.
Yeah.
I like the fact that one was designed by a YouTuber who's doing. I forget his name, Billy something, but he did he has his own version on YouTube, and that looks great.
Yeah, if someone looked at what the Howl Around, which is that original effect they did for the first 3 title sequences, it's like someone looked at the shapes, the globs, and kind of going, okay, let's interpret this and like make this more fleshed out. What could this look like if it was tangible?
It gave me a lot of Pertwee vibes with the kind of the black and red, psychedelic kind of vortex. It was very simple. But you didn't need clockwork and flashy planets and meatball planets. Like
it hardly even moved. Like, it didn't move like down it. I mean,
no,
it was
just very pretty to look at. It was very striking, and I need to watch it again because it was really quick, but it was so damn good. I loved it.
The vibe was completely right.
It was so Doctor Who.
Absolutely.
And the fact that it wasn't in last week pissed me off, but I was happy to see it this week.
Yeah. Now, if we get moving on to, I think, special effects. This episode, I think, is mostly positive.
Yeah.
Because obviously Doctor Who is a lower budget TV show, and especially compared to some kind of like American funded TV shows, it can struggle to stack up at times. sometimes CG can look really good in a series, but sometimes the composition isn't quite there. And what I can really tell they're trying to do this series, which sometimes works, sometimes not so much, is they're trying to shoot like around the technical limitations. So they're trying to shoot things to get the best effect out of them, whilst limiting the amount of time like the effect has to be on screen and kind of how much you can see of it. And so the spaceships at the start, especially, you know, that one that's sat on the planet and the one that flies down, they look really good, actually.
I thought the one that actually was on the planet, to me, it looked almost like a model.
Yeah.
And I really like that.
I thought it might be like a tangible thing. So when you've got Graham and Ryan on the alien planet, and they're presumably stood under the legs of this spaceship, and then it's like, even though it's meant to be towering over them, in the shot, there's nothing above them.
Yeah.
There are legs in the background, but there feels like you should see more. And the biggest one would be after the spaceship that Jodie was on crashed. Suddenly she steps out of the cloud of dust. There's no spaceship.
I know, that's a bit like... I thought that was a bit jarring, honestly.
And I think it's just because they struggled to be able to... They had to, and they really had to like move on from that as quick as possible. Like, okay, let's shoot everything the other way.
Yeah.
Because we can't let them see.
They kind of like shot it as if Jodie just walked over that hill.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't see the spaceship, we're clever. And it's like, oh, that's a bit lame. No. And I thought the robot villain dudes, I thought the gun effects looked okay, but...
Yeah, so they looked alright themselves. They looked...
pretty bland, honestly.
They're bland, but they didn't look tacky, I thought.
No, they looked alright.
Makes sense. Like, from a purely, like, physical point of view. But I do think their laser blasts, you can tell, because kind of... you can tell they're sort of composited on, and it's a bit...
Didn't feel very tangible. Like, they were actually hitting things. Looked quite flat, honestly.
Yeah, I was thinking if they had, you know, sparks or kind of clouds raining down, that would have been great, like a few pyrotechnics to set off. But I think the problem is, one of the biggest things that sells a laser beam is if you've got lighting, if it affects the environment around it.
One thing I do want to say as well, the music, was very good in this episode, very atmospheric, and it really built those scenes, even though maybe the dialogue wasn't on point, or like, you know, the pacing was a bit off. I think the music did such a good job.
I'm a fan of creepy ambient like synth soundtracks.
It gives me kind of Stranger Things vibes, so I'm really happy about is it Sagan Akinola? Really like this new composer. Very good choice. Well done, Mr. Chibnall.
There are certain portions of this episode that I think come across as just maybe a tad cheesy.
Yeah.
Moment.
Cheesy sci-fi, I think. Doctor Who's guilty for it sometimes. But yeah, the resolution felt a little too easy.
Yeah. And one of the biggest things we need to talk about is the new TARDIS.
Okay, what did you think?
So...
Of the Crystal Maze.
So, I had seen a photo online of a TARDIS design that was some kind of plasticky crystal abomination.
I hated that leaked picture.
And I was like, oh god, don't tell me that's it.
Yeah.
Now, the way they reveal it in the episode is super slow. So the outside of the TARDIS kind of has a bit of a new design. And I actually think it looks... The police box looks a bit slimmer and a bit more classic than the sort of David Tennant and Matt Smith ones. They're quite wide as police boxes go.
I love this new design of the exterior.
So the exterior looked nice. Almost a slight kind of turquoisey blue, like there's a bit of green in there.
Yeah, it's a really sweet colour.
Yeah. Then they open it up, you see that there's actually not just the doors, but the whole of a police box at the front, which is quite interesting. And she moves into this kind of room, and there's this kind of... Almost like, it looks like some kind of metal or even stoneworky kind of looking textured wall. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. She starts moving further, and the first crystal column comes into view. Now, it doesn't look as bad as the leaked pic, but there's this one shot of it where you see all the spindly, weird crystal column bits, like a bunch of crystal spider legs, and it looks just kind of gross and cramped, and I'm really not a fan of that. I don't like this idea of the TARDIS being like a living, like an organism. I prefer the TARDIS being the ship, which is actually, you know, what they'd call it back in the very first series of Doctor Who. William Hartnell would be on, I was like, we got to get back to the ship.
Yeah.
And it's sort of and the bloody transparent plastic TARDIS model.
That looks shit. I'll admit that.
that was like, what the hell? No, I think the lighting was nice. I like the orange and blue. You know, as overused as those colours are, they work well together. They look nice.
Yeah.
And I think the console, sort of, some of it I like, some of it I'm not too keen on. My favourite TARDIS design probably ever. I do like the TV movie one a lot.
The Paul McGann one, yeah.
Yeah, but it's probably the Capaldi one.
The Capaldi one's beautiful, honestly, and I feel like it had this TARDIS. I don't think it can quite match up to that because I think for me that's a perfect design. That's the TARDIS I want to travel in.
Yeah,
it's very retro, but it's also kind of got a steampunk vibe, and it has bits of the Paul McGann in there with like the library and stuff. It's just perfect, and I love the little spinny thing at the top. Gorgeous, and I was very sad to see it explode at the end of Twice Upon a Time.
Oh god, yeah.
But I actually kind of like this new TARDIS. It's not the best, but it's different. And I do agree with you, it looks a bit cramped with the crystal thing.
Yeah.
The big kind of crystal spider legs, that's a bit unnecessary. But everything else, like the kind of the round, like kind of bronzy rounders on the walls.
I do like those.
These kind of like blue lights in the background. It looks quite a bit more fantastical. It reminds me a lot more of the Matt Smith one. It's almost like it's like if the Tennant one, the kind of organic, chromy Tennant one, had sex with the Willy Wonka Matt Smith one.
Yeah.
You would get this one. But the custard cream thing, like, I don't know. Why would the TARDIS make custard creams? I mean, I love custard creams, but why?
Yeah, the TARDIS has a custard cream biscuit dispenser. Yeah, so I think it was shot nice. It's just there are. I think we're kind of, for a kid that might be like quite, oh, that's fun, but as we're getting into these more kind of cynical adults, we're a bit more like, no, come on.
Why the hell would I have the custard cream? No, honestly, like, I understand why you wouldn't like it. I think I need to see more of it to make a proper judgment. But I quite like it. I felt like it was worth the wait, honestly, with the slow build-up. But I can understand why someone might think it looks a bit odd. It just looks different. So to me, that's interesting. Whether it works or not, I like it when they try new things.
Yeah, it's props to them for trying something new. And I suppose the crystals are reminiscent somewhat of the kind of the coral structures of the Eccleston Tennant TARDIS. But going back to Jodie, actually, a point I want to make. So when I was editing over the footage for the last week's review, I kind of got this feeling in mind where I think if I was generally like a girl and probably a young girl, I think I'd be really excited about Jodie and be really kind of eager watching her. I just got this feeling where I was kind of like, because obviously you and I, and especially me, have this kind of, we've got our more older, jaded mindsets with this kind of idea of what we'd like our ideal Doctor Who show to be.
Yes.
That means we will then kind of, we kind of look into things deeply because, we're so into this show that we kind of, we act that way. But if I was more of a younger, casual kind of fan, and I played this Jodie Whittaker episode, and I wasn't bothered about technical details or continuity or whatever.
The TARDIS or whatever, yeah.
I think I probably would be very excited about it.
That's the thing. While watching this new series, I've become quite objective, and I'm not watching it as a fanboy anymore because, like, I'm into the Big Finish stuff and everything. I'm crazy about Doctor Who. So, like, obviously I have my version, like we said, I have my version in my head of, like, what I would love Doctor Who to be, but it's not going to be that. It's an idea, it's a fantasy. I'd love it to be that, but it's not going to be. And I'm going into this series quite objective, thinking, alright, I'm going to take kind of my fanboyism out of it just for a minute, even though I will still be critical of it, and just see, like, what Chibnall's trying to do. And I think he's playing it quite safe, and he's actually appealing to mainstream audiences quite well, actually. I wouldn't say he's dumbed it down, but he's definitely simplified things and took things back to basics, back to the roots. And yes, that means he plays a bit more safe, and he's not as experimental, as wacky as Moffat. But right now, I think Doctor Who needs more of a guiding hand and a stronger foundation, even if that one is a bit blander and not as exciting or as batshit crazy as the Moffat era. I think the fact that he's kind of stripping it down and making it a lot more just easier for mainstream and not like being so fan wanky about it. I think he's doing a good job in terms of that. If that's what the BBC want for the show, to make it just give it a stronger foundation, basically.
Yeah.
And as a viewer, I'm not looking at it in that way and going, he's actually doing that very well. But also, I think in terms of sci-fi, it's very simple. It's very middling. I think he needs to push it a bit more later on, definitely.
Overall, The Ghost Monument, I think I was fairly happy with it. I don't love it, but
Same.
I think I respect it a lot. I can really respect a lot of the production behind it. I can really appreciate a lot of things like the the way they're using CG, the storytelling elements of it, the cinematography, and some of the characters are doing quite well. I'd say better than the first episode.
I agree. I think this was a lot better than The Woman Who Fell to Earth. Even though the pacing's still a bit off, it was definitely a lot more exciting, and because they were searching for the TARDIS and they were going on this race, I was way more invested, and I wasn't bored by it. And I thought it was very pretty, very enjoyable. Still room for improvement. I feel like story could be a lot stronger. Maybe when we see the other writers, we'll see a bit more variety in terms of how stories are told. But I actually really like this one, and it's getting me excited for later episodes. So
Yeah.
I'd give it like a 7 out of 10, honestly. I quite like it. Strong 7.
I'd say. I think I probably would give it a 7 too. I'm not sure because I've kind of got to think relative to like what other stories would they class as what. But yeah, as of right now, 7.
Enjoyable, room for improvement, but exciting. Like, I'm excited for more.
It's that promise and that excitement that I think is kind of getting me going for it. It's
The potential, for what could come next week. We have Rosa Parks next week.
So this is interesting. This looks like it could. It looks like there is going to be some kind of sci-fi element, but it looks. Yeah, I do like a historical, and it looks interesting.
Apparently, there are also a couple of pure historicals in this series, which I'm quite excited for.
Yeah.
The one starring Alan Cummings, I think he's playing like a historical figure, which I missed. We've actually not seen a historical figure since like Robin Hood, the Capaldi series, which was not great. So,
Ha ha! You bony rascal!
quote of the week. No. Not great. So I want to see some decent historical figures, please, because we've barely got any in the Capaldi era. So yeah, that's exciting. And
also, Jodie Whittaker changes her T-shirt.
oh, she's got a pink one.
Oh my god. It always looked more like a burgundy to me.
Burgundy.
I think so. Well, no, that I am interested in. I know that sounds so weird. I like when the Doctor has small changes in their wardrobe. Thank you so much for watching. This has been myself, JackWolf, and
the Oncoming Brainstorm. You can join us next week for, I think it's called Rosa, episode 3 of series 11.
And I mean, if the series is heading up, I'm going to be very happy.
Let us know your thoughts and what you thought of the Ghost Monument and the series so far, and Geordie. And join us next time. See you later.